Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I don't need to read all the fire alarm. I think everybody knows the procedure on the fire alarm, don't they?
We can.
They're not with reading it. Right, we'll go to the agenda and apologies for absence. I don't think we've got any. David, sorry, yeah. Received declarations of interest for items included on the agenda. Anybody?
No. You got one for the tree?
Sorry?
Tree.
Tree
Right.
report, or do you want to defer the tree report?
Well,
because
I
you
mean,
didn't
we
get
haven't had a chance to read it, have we? I mean, you've got to either accept it or reject it, haven't we? How can we accept it?
Well, we'll decide on that when we come to it.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
No decorations at this
Oh,
stage.
so you took me declarations of interest?
Yeah.
Well, that was an accusation made at me by Les Scott for that. But I haven't got any interest in it.
Well, you can just before the item comes up, if you decide you want to.
That's all right. I'm just saying, I haven't got
Loud public, we've got no public here that I know of. Can't see any.
Visible.
So pass that one.
I can't see.
To receive and agree minutes of the asset space for the 29th of January. Can I sign them as a true record, everybody? Can you please show? Don, are you happy with the minute?
Yeah.
Caroline?
Yes.
Yeah.
Those unanimous. Any matters arising for them, Matt? They're not on the agenda? No? I'll sign them at the end then.
The action.
It's any actions we need to. We go on to receive and consider any asset owned space related items, non-councillors, chairman's discretion. We've got no non-council members here, so that will be bypassed.
There were two late items, if possible.
Late ones, yeah, that's the, I suppose we did, include.
What late one is it? Please.
There's a lady requested to put a bench on the wreck.
Right.
They planted in 2006. They planted a horse chestnut tree for that would be her grandmother, but her mum has now passed away. So they wanted a tree near. It's just as you go into the wreck on the left-hand side. The first, not the skate parking.
Oh, down near the Southlands.
Footpath that go across to the, just inside the wreck from the Haspels Road end.
Anything wrong with that ground as far as you can see?
Is the lady got to pay for the installation and put a lump sum down for maintenance or something like that?
We don't normally charge maintenance, do we?
We normally let them know that's down to them to maintain it.
Okay.
As to when they don't maintain it and they get in bad repair, we remove it. So,
That's just that there was one in the churchyard once, and the lady offered to do all three things, and that was turned down because it was said it would encourage vandalism and drug taking.
Okay. We've got it anyway.
That wasn't us. That wasn't us.
Yes. Everybody in favour, agree that, yeah?
The other one, I think Graham, was a video of a tree branch.
Church Villa, is it? The house on Mangate Street, number 4 Mangate Street.
Yeah.
There's a tall tree there. I believe that's a beech tree. I'm not sure. And then she just requested that the branches overhanging her property, could they be removed, or could she remove them herself? Well, if they don't get removed, we'd have to get somebody in, which I'll go ahead with quotes if you want me to do that, because that's obviously someone's got, whoever do it will have to have climbing certificates, which we ain't got.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Well, if we can't really, would that be practical to allow her to do it? I don't.
Well,
I have to agree with you, Graham.
No.
But I just asked the question if it'd be legal or advisable. I think we asked Graham to get some quotes for it.
yeah.
But that's my opinion. I would move that unless anybody else.
To those trees that's around the cemetery, is it?
It's just
Churchyard.
church.
Churchyard. Are they
number 4 Mangate Street.
We,
Church Mill.
Is it on Norwich Road?
Right next to the steps opposite the,
Yeah.
what was the college?
Yeah. Yeah, I just wonder if it needs planning consent, tree.
no, because you're not cutting the tree down, you're only cutting bits off it.
Yeah,
Raising the canopy, aren't you?
yeah.
I thought there were some.
Yeah.
Do you need,
Do
do you need an application for it if there's a PPO tree?
Yeah.
In one?
They're all
you?
taking
Is that a branch off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was,
Yeah.
I thought there was.
Well, Graham could
Yeah,
investigate and come back to us.
the church.
No.
In fact, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's our responsibility, the trees in the churchyard.
Yeah.
You still,
No.
yeah, we still have to get their permission.
You still have to go.
Anything bigger, I was told once, anything bigger than your finger, which is basically anything really, yeah.
Yeah.
You've got that plan application now.
No,
it's
that's
not.
family from the church of England.
It's a license to work on it or do work on it or something they call it, don't they?
Yeah.
I forget what it's called now.
Just another thing, Graham, I don't know if you've noticed it, but you know where the traffic lights are? I don't know if that's the point. So I don't know if it's in this report that this character has done, but there's a tree there right near the traffic lights that looks dead as a doornail to me. The entire top is gone.
Yeah.
But is that in his report?
I honestly, I came in and I ordered it so it could be sent out to them. I hadn't had a chance to look at it myself. So
Yeah. Do you know the tree I'm talking
I
about?
think I know the one saying before, there was a tree down there somewhere the other week. Look, we still get, yeah, some dead wood out.
Was it on that? Is it on our ground or is it on the highway ground?
That's on our
That's on the church. That's in the churchyard, isn't it?
Yeah, no, this one the ground was on about.
You know, as you walk from the church to the traffic lights along the footpath, that's the last church on the left hand,
That's true.
the last tree on the left hand side. All the top is gone.
Is it in Owl?
Paul, to be honest with you, until I get the report and go out on site with the report, everything will tie up then.
Okay. I think we leave it to Graham's to investigate and come back in.
Yeah.
Well, if it's desperate, you can always come back at a council meeting or one at some other meeting, can't you?
Yeah.
Because we don't meet for another couple of months, do we?
No, like I said,
Earlier.
like I said, as soon as we get the report on it, send it.
Everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Anything else, Leanne?
No, that was just those two bits.
Where was I? Receive a report on annual building inspection, community assembly rooms, etc.
It's the report is circulated.
Yeah.
Has everybody seen it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Graham asked for 3 things to put on the agenda and sort of incorporated within the agenda item. You were referring to the landlord's
We
obligation.
can't discuss that here, can we? In open council, that won't be below the line. You talk the contract details and all sorts of things.
Well, just an overview of the 3 things. You're querying the landlord's obligation.
Yeah.
That is the
Contractual.
wording that the previous clerk incorrectly used.
Landlord's obligations.
That he incorrectly used that phrase, so it wasn't landlord's obligation. So the language was incorrect. It's council's responsibility to. It's the landlord's, it's incorrect to say that there's a landlord's responsibility to repair the fabric of the building.
Right?
But the council was faced with the practical reality that the tenant could not afford to undertake essential repairs. So the choice for the council was to either pay for the repairs or allow the building to deteriorate further.
Who wrote that?
Pardon?
Who wrote what
I
you
did.
just read? Oh, right. Okay.
So council agreed to pay that 53,000. That was a unanimous, well, not unanimous, that was agreed at council to pay that money.
Yeah, but here we go. If you look at the application that I've seen he sent to us, you will see in there the very basis of that application was stated by Claire. The landlord has an obligation for the fabric of the building, and everything that follows that proceeds on the basis that we have this obligation. Everywhere you look in that thing, there's the obligation of the landlord. It's said that, as you've just now correctly said, the landlord does not have that obligation. It is a full repairing lease. We were then told by you, Leanne, that for Iceni didn't have any money to pay for it. Have you checked their accounts?
Not at that time, no, because I weren't
no,
even here then.
No, I've checked their accounts, and you need to see how many hundreds of thousands of pounds they got in it. So that isn't actually factually correct. So we have a problem with this, but that is not the real issue for me. The real issue is to establish beyond any doubt that we do not have an obligation for the fabric of that building under the terms of the lease. And I think you've now confirmed again that that is the case, haven't you?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. No obligation. Can we have that minute? So we never get into this position again. Because I've been chasing this now for, must be nearly, well, since the big thing was done. This very issue of this obligation and the money we spent on it, but that isn't the main thing for me. The main thing is that that building has had techniques used on it that don't comply with the listed building requirements. An architect has confirmed it, a roofing contractor has confirmed it, and I know it to be true. We were then told by Iceni that it's nothing whatever to do with them because we commissioned the work. And if you read what I said quite carefully in that email, Iceni commissioned the work. So that building has been handed over to us with a system of roofing that doesn't comply with listed buildings. So I'm not happy with that. That's my main gripe.
Okay, so the work was done with the listed historical buildings officer of Breckland.
But that doesn't comply with the very terms that he insists on being done.
But what can you do when he's signed off?
Get a formal letter from him to confirm precisely that he has signed off that technique of working and he is happy that that is satisfactory use of on a listed building. If he says that, job, matter closed. But at the moment, we've got this gaping hole where if I did that or if I proposed that on a building, he would make me stop it. He wouldn't accept it. But for some reason,
It hasn't been signed off.
I don't care if it's been signed off or not. He hasn't signed it off, been signed off by an architect. And this is where you come round to this jumble of this, how this job has gone. People have done things that are not correct and you keep saying someone signed it off. Go back to the man who had the responsibility, Andrew Gayton, and ask him to confirm unequivocally that he accepts the standard of work on that roof.
But when all the work was done, the standard of work was all agreed by the officers and that, weren't they?
Officers.
You know, like Andrew Gayton and.
But let him say so, Paul, because it doesn't comply.
Yeah.
It doesn't comply with his own rules. If I fitted plastic windows in a premises, say, in the marketplace, he'd come down us like a ton of bricks. He spent ages dithering over the entrance door to the museum, if you remember, saying incorrectly that that door had been installed when the building was built, right? That's his level of detail. So I'm saying that building, that roof on that building has not been done to that level of detail, and it's our building. We've now inherited that problem as far as I'm concerned, and we want formal confirmation that that is to his satisfaction. Case closed. And at the moment, we haven't got it.
Does everybody agree with that? To ask
I don't know how you're going to achieve that.
You write him a letter. That was simple. Write him a letter and ask him to confirm unequivocally that the ridge and the hips on that roof are to his satisfaction.
Yeah. Surely they wouldn't have signed it off if it.
I don't care, Paul.
Yeah.
We weren't party to the signing off. We weren't party to the instruction and the commissioning of the work. We merely paid for it. And if you read the emails that are passed, then it's clear it's Iceni who did it, and they've handed us back that thing, which is not right. So I want someone to write a letter to Andrew Gayton and unequivocally ask him to confirm that that work is to his satisfaction and in the detail that I'm talking, ridge and hips.
I suppose we could do that.
Well, it has to be a council decision,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Oh, let's vote on it.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why you wouldn't do that? Yeah.
No, I'm happy to do it, but I need.
Oh, right,
council
well,
agreement
yeah,
to do
oh,
it.
Go,
I'll
put your hands up, everyone.
go along with that.
Yep.
So, because I'm not sure.
I think just to clear it up.
Are you against or abstaining?
I'm mixed. I think at the time, my view is at the time it would have been to do it when it was first done. And I know you said you tried to do it and all that, but it's what, 3 years down the road now?
No, it isn't 3 years.
2 years?
It's quite to us, September 23,
Was it 2 years? Anyway,
about 18 months.
it's quite a while down the road, you know, and
Been asking about it since that was first.
That is fair, actually, is,
I mean, I've been-
comment, he has been.
I've just been completely ignored.
they were, the decision we got
I
4.
think,
So the decision is we write to,
Andrew Gaten and asking for unequivocal confirmation that that roof and system.
happy with that, Leo?
Yeah.
We'll wait to see what he's replying.
Yeah, that's fine. And the other thing is what we need to vote also on if we do anything or don't do anything about this question of landlords' obligations, which was fundamental to them getting money from us. I mean, we also pay for the roof, don't we? 37,000.
Well, exactly, it's a problem.
Yeah, probably.
Well, yeah, okay. If not in whole, we've spent a lot of money on that building on the basis of the proposal that there was a contractors, there was a landlord's obligation, which now there isn't. So we need to vote on whether we accept that state of affairs or do something about it again.
Looking back at the minutes, they applied for Breckland to help with money because they didn't
Mm.
have enough to do the repairs
Mm.
and they couldn't get any more money from Breckland. So then they came to the town council for,
Yeah, but they came to us under the definition of landlord's obligations. That was a term that was used consistently from day one.
I think that was incorrectly used
Yeah.
from the previous clerk.
Yeah, but hang up. That's not the clerk I'm talking about. That's Iceni. Remember this, that Iceni have got a lawyer who's one of their other directors, one of their directors. Judy was one of their directors.
Yeah.
And in those two, you have people who have a fundamental understanding.
I first, you know, sorry, John, I'll get you in a minute. I can see where you're coming from, and I think what we need to do is get the deed or whatever you want to call it correct, and so we know where we're going in the future, from now on. And what's been in the past is, as I've said before, is in the past. All right, what you said? Are you saying you want to go back and say you want X amount of money off of Iceni? Is
No.
that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that we vote on what we, the council, this little group,
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah.
I've raised it. I can see quite clearly what's
My view is that we look to the future and try and get it completely clear within that deed and agree with Iceni for the future, so we know where we stand in the future of anything.
Sorry, interrupting you, Master. We don't need to do anything. We don't need to tell Iceni for the future that that's their responsibility. The lease says quite clearly that it is.
Well-
Now, Leanne has confirmed that they have a full responsibility. We're not responsible for the fabric, are we? Right, that's good. So all I'm saying is we don't need to tell them. We don't need to tell
We
them.
know where we stand in the future. If anything was happening in the future,
It's entirely their responsibility, that fabric of that building.
John,
but-
John, coming.
Graham, you did answer the minute here, that the, about the obligation, the thing about. Did you?
Yes.
So it's clear, I think it's clear, Graham, that it was misinterpreted by the then town clerk and by Iceni.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I
Yeah.
don't know, because
Yeah.
it's before my time here.
Yes.
But I think it's clear now, after all the kerfuffle about it, what the obligations are,
There's two obligations written in the lease, which is one that you have to insure the building. And the second is to let the tenant have a peaceful, I can't remember the exact words.
yeah, enjoyment.
Tenancy.
Yeah.
But we're not stopping them doing that.
No, I'm not saying you're not, I'm
No,
just saying
that's-
there are
that's the
two
two
obligations listed in the
Yeah, fair enough.
landlord obligations.
I think we're clear enough, Graham.
Oh, yeah,
I'm quite clear what, and I think, you know, because it's gone around, I think we won't go to the same trap again, will we? I mean, Clark will tell them next time they come for money, it's not an obligation. You asking for a grant, which is a different thing.
Right, that's a different thing, yeah.
But that is,
I think that part of it was that it was not an obligation under the rules of the lease or whatever. I think it was an obligation to the building as such at the time.
It should be that it was in your best interest
Yeah.
to look after your asset.
It muddied the water quality.
That's not how a lease works. Lee.
No.
No, I'm not saying anything to do with the words of the lease, but under obligation to the building itself.
Look at their accounts.
But anyway,
Anyway, I'm not going to say any more about the accounts. You need to look at them. There's hundreds of thousands in there.
shall we, do we agree that we draw a line under it and obviously keep a finger on the pulse if anything ever to happen in the future?
We vote on it then. So we've got right off that money.
Well, we've written it off.
No, I just said, no.
It got through, Graham.
No.
What,
Already done.
we can't go, can we go and ask them for it?
Yes, you could.
Well.
No, but this is the point.
I think you'd have a really big battle on your hands legal.
Oh.
Well, we voted to have, didn't
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Did, the council voted.
I'm not suggesting we do. I'm raising it and it's up to councillors to say what they wish to do. That's it.
Well,
Just a vote for it. Put your hand up and
is this something we can do from this committee, or do we have to get a full council thing on this?
It goes to full council.
not really anything on the agenda to vote for, is
Yeah.
there? But if you wanted to vote for it, we could put it on the full council.
I think we ought to, because it's wrong, basically. You can wrap it about it like, but it was wrong. And if we're going to agree that we gave money, if you like, for the wrong reason, then that's fine. I haven't got a problem with that.
At the end of the day, that has repaired the town council asset, so it's not as though you've given it to them and they've gone on holiday with it or something silly.
But the other thing, and and I say this, I don't want, we've got good tenants in there as far as I understand. I think we'd all agree, we've got good tenants in the
no problem
building.
there.
And, they are maintaining it, they're doing the work on as and when necessary, any repairs or anything like that, they're keeping their finger on the pulse of it. I think I'm right in saying.
Yeah, but
And I think we really want to upset the apple cart?
that's not my point.
No,
My
maybe
point
it
is-
isn't, but I think that has got to be consideration.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't get me wrong. I'm not trying. All I'm doing is saying here's what I believe to be the case.
Yeah.
And I think generally people agree it is the case. So my question is, we then have to formally put it to bed.
Yeah.
If you then decide that that was a misunderstanding, but we're happy to do it, fine. But Paul, sorry, I know we have incorrectly.
And we agreed to pay.
Incorrectly.
Yeah, but we took a democratic
I
decision.
know,
We
but
can't undo that.
My vote was based upon reading the application for my senior,
Doesn't matter,
which
but-
says, no,
I don't think this committee has got the power to make that decision. Have we, Leanne? I've got to be guided by you.
yeah, but that must be below the line because it's a contractual matter. We can't, some people are listening to this.
See, I partly agree with Graham that it wasn't done in full, the actual money wasn't done in full knowledge.
No.
With the council knowing they did. But I think you've got to take a pragmatic view now. That's water under the bridge. We won't fall into that trap again, Graham.
No.
That's the thing. Lesson learned. And we've got to move on.
Yeah, but I'm not pressing. All I'm saying is, here is the information as I see it. I'm here and we're all here to represent the residents of this community. And it's arguable that the residents of this community chumped up money on the basis that they shouldn't have done so. Right? That's my only point. If you all vote for it to accept the fact that we've done it, and I've got no problem with it. It's finished as far as I'm concerned. I merely raise it because I'm here to represent the residents.
It's not
Are you happy then for the clerk to take this back and see if it can be put on either, I don't know if it's too late for the agenda for April meeting or?
What would you
I
be
don't know
going back to make? I can't confirm whether the information was incorrect.
Yeah,
You've only got to read the lease. And you've really got to read, I've seen his application. There's no misunderstanding their application or the lease.
But they might. But oh no,
What,
they
a
should,
lawyer and
they
judge?
should know, shouldn't they?
there's hardly anybody on the council here that is actually there.
No.
It's a,
He used to, I used to have an office here and most of what I know about leases and things like that, I learned from the lawyer.
Yeah.
That's all he did.
Yeah. But perhaps they thought,
Nah.
It's all been, that was all agreed at full council. I can't say whether the information was incorrect at the time.
well, it was.
Well,
Yes,
we don't
It was,
know
wasn't
that.
it?
Yes, it
Because,
was.
you
Did
said
they
the
have
town
money
clerk.
at that time to repair the roof?
Come on, Leanne, look at the account.
I don't think that
At
really,
that time.
does that really come into it, the fact whether they had the money or not? The council made the decision to pay that money towards it, whether it was in line with the lease agreement or not, the council agreed to pay that money. So I think the decision was made then on the information what was to hand, and that was the decision made. And unless you, I don't know how you can go back sort of 3 years or whatever it was when that decision was made, you
Well-
change it.
Well, Paul, you really right. You read just two bits of paper. One is the particular part, as I've given you. One is the particular part of the lease with it outlined in red. Responsibility is theirs. Number two, their application, which I also outlined in red, that said due to the contractors, the council's landlord's obligations to the fabric of the building we're applying for. Job done. Two documents. Right. That to me is the heart of it. What waffle went on at the edges, or this went that way, that I don't care about that. They are the two bits of paper.
So what is going to make you satisfied then? What decision?
A vote to put it to bed.
What, there or at the full council?
Well, here and then go to the council if necessary.
Is that because it's not actually on the agenda as such, is it? So I don't know if that'd be a binding decision because it's not.
I'll leave it to you, but all I'm saying is,
I'm trying to do things. We don't want to make a decision, then it's not binding because we weren't
but listen,
what do you call it, Leanne? Because it's not on the agenda.
no, that doesn't matter. I understand all that. But the point is, Paul, that I've raised these queries and they hang in the air. In my opinion, something needs to be done to finalise them. My queries and comments and objections to what happened. Now, if the council agree that that's done, and now with this information that I've brought to you that you didn't know before, then fine, I'm happy with it. I've got no problem with it.
Yeah, the decision on that was taken by the previous administrator or whatever, the previous group of councillors, not who all of whom are on this council now. So we're asking for this council now to take a view
Yeah, that's it.
on what's in the minds of other people, and that isn't going to be, it's not something I could.
In the circumstances, we don't know the exact circumstances at the time.
I wouldn't know the exact what your motivation was, but and I think from the point of view of being entirely pragmatic, we've got a good tenant. What would be a tragedy if they walked away from it because we have nothing then in place of them.
We don't get any rent for it.
I know, but what if they walked away? And
They
then
haven't
what do you do?
used the services for the community.
Right. I think, looking at
They manage it. I don't want a any sort of
Bad word.
bad feeling to arise on this between us and them.
no,
I
no,
think
I don't.
if things went wrong in the past, that is water under the bridge. We
Yeah.
learned a lesson.
I,
We mustn't go that way again. But
well, I'm going to close this down because I don't think we're in a position because it's not on the agenda as such. So we aren't in a position to vote on this. I think we should just get the notes from Leanne Spade and we'll take this and I'll have a word with the clerk. If she thinks it should go to a full council meeting, we will do that. If not, I think we just draw a line under it.
Just one final thing, Paul, then I'll shut up, promise you. What is the auditor going to say about these comments? Right, the points that I've raised, which have now been accepted. Do we have an obligation under the rules? I don't know what rules would apply.
So I can't answer that.
No, but that's what-
Okay.
You see,
Thought so, because that is your asset.
that isn't our obligation.
It's not your obligation.
But then we've
That
given.
is your asset.
It was at the time, as I said before, Graham, I keep saying this, at the time, I think it was not anything to do with the legal thing on the deed. It was a moral thing for the council to do at the time.
Morals
And
don't enter into the law.
it does, because that was the way this council took the vote at that time.
All
Am I not right saying?
all I'm worried about is, Paul, genuinely worried about is that this matter has come up it's quite clear that that, in inverted commas, was wrong. My concern is that somebody else could hold the council to account. Someone
Well,
could be listening.
If you found it happen, we just have to go through the.
Could be difficult.
It would like the railroad.
Anyway,
I think we and Leanne have a word with the clerk. Go from there, and if she decides it wants airing further, we will do that.
I'm not
You
talking
happy with that,
I'm
Leanne?
talking about purely a vote to put it to bed.
But we can't do that today because it's
No,
not actually on the
that's fine.
agenda as such, is it?
Okay,
I'm right in saying that, aren't I?
Yeah.
So we draw a line on that. Anything else under that subject? I think when we went around, had a lot, I think most of the build was in a good state of repair and that, wasn't it? So anybody else want to comment on those that went around? John, you?
No, I read it, the report, yeah. A lot of actions there.
Yeah.
Who's going to report back on?
The ICD will come back to us with some of them comments, won't they, Leanne?
Yeah.
Well, for our next meeting.
I assume it'd be, yeah.
Tell
we
us
haven't
what
had-
progress there is.
I don't think it was anything that we said was absolutely urgent, was there? At the time, Graham?
no, sorry, no.
Yeah, I
No,
know,
no.
know what progress there is.
Okay. We'll go on then. Allotments. See if we're getting to a lot, anything on that?
Tumble Hill are full with tenants. Sholdham Lane, there's 2 vacancies. Unfortunately, about 5 sheds were broken into at Tumble Hill. And this week, 2 beehives were stolen from Sholdham Lane.
Yeah, sure, was just, but
So these have been reported to the police. There must be a spate of them because the police have just issued posters saying is your allotment secure, so we're circulating those. Council waste is being sorted out, so you're just waiting for the right weather for
Yeah.
burn up.
Well, burn up. What, down Sholdham Lane?
Can I just say, yeah, I know. Can I?
Ollie Tunnel?
It's got a ball off, Paul.
Yeah,
Just say that, obviously the heat down shoulder line has been a concern for years. It's our only place where we can put the branches that fall off trees, the hedge cuttings and etc. And years ago, we would always look at February when there's snow on the ground or ice, we would look for that be something we would do once the wind was in the right direction to burn it. And obviously fires is a bit extra careful nowadays and what have you, but what we have done, we've hired a chipper last year to shred as much wood as we can, which we've already done this year. There's a lot of other stuff in there that we can't put through the chipper. For example, there's loads of pallets that you took photos of that's not ours. We haven't put them there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's human nature. When someone's sick, they tend to add to them. So, in a way, yeah, we've still got to get rid of that. So, our proposal was to put what we have done, put the trees as much as we can through the chipper. When and only when the wind is in the right direction, we will have a fire down there, but there's not a great deal of that that'll burn.
Yeah.
Then, once that's been completed, I'm looking to separate the metal to get that recycled. And that'll leave the plastics and all the, like the roots and stuff that's there and everything like that. And my only proposal for that is that we either get a skip lorry or a tipper lorry, neither of which can get into magazine field. We've tried years ago, but get them to stay on the lane and hire a loading shovel to literally load everything else into that lorry, bearing in mind that the allotment holders will have to use Shoemaker's Lane that day whenever that's done. Now that will still leave us with refrigerators and car tires. Now refrigerators we've got probably just in the double figures. And all this stuff is accumulated when people hand in their allotments and we clear them. Car tires, there's not so many down there, probably about 8, something like that. But then again, that's specialist waste management. So unfortunately, all these things will cost eventually. I mean, the separating the metal recycling won't, well, not so much, but you know, obviously a loading shovel and a skip lorry or lorries, that will. That's our proposal.
Yeah, so. Go on.
The pallets and the tyres, can they not be put to the public? We've got a lot of crafters in this town and they're always asking for pallets, always.
Yeah.
So if that could be, they come to a certain collection point and pick them up. They in good enough condition to do anything with, or you'll be surprised what they can do with pallets and they're broken or not.
So I bet the whole heap, if anyone wanted to be on there.
I
Obviously,
mean, they actually make
That's-
garden furniture out of them and they're
That's
really
the
good.
something you put out on, Nicola put it out on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're there, but I wouldn't live in a lot of home myself, but you never know, you never know.
There's
It's
someone,
wonderful. Honestly, I use no end of pallets.
yeah, I do as well.
No,
I've got,
that's why I put them there.
I actually have a picket fence made out of pallets.
Well, we'll try anyway and see what
Right.
happens.
But just one thing. With that, some of the stuff up there is stuff that the blokes have put there, I think.
Yeah.
Right, now, that's by the by. And you can't get a skip up there. So what I did say it before, why can't there be a skip at the cemetery? And it's your blokes, instead of taking stuff to there and dumping it, take it to the cemetery and put it in a lockable skip.
biggest problem we got now with skips is ever since JP Skips ceased trading
Yeah.
2 years ago, they were the only skip company that would let us have a skip for longer than 3 weeks.
Right.
We've had that problem.
So if we got to have a skip in, basically it's got to come in, we've got to fill it, because if we don't fill it up on the first day, it's not a nice thing to say, that'll be half full the next day when we turn up.
I know, but that's a lot. I'm talking about a lockable skip.
Yeah, no,
How would that get filled up if that's lockable?
well, if that's locked, but one, if you're talking about the cemetery, then, well, whereabouts in the cemetery?
I've got no idea.
That's a bit unsightly for a cemetery, I think. We've only got one compound and that's where the soil is, but we went through all this when we debated on how we were getting rid of the soil.
I think the allotment's the best place to put it.
But you can't get.
I don't think you'll get it. 'Cause like a short wheelbase lorry we have had one in Sheldon Lane main entrance. But that was very, very tight with lots of shunting backwards
Yeah.
and forwards. And that was his JP skip, so don't even know what make anything like that, whether it's the other skip company's lorries are exactly the same. But, that's the issue we've always had, obviously had each one of those 3 allotments there on 90-degree corner. haven't we?
Yeah, the whole things. I was saying, Shoemaker's Lane.
Exactly right.
You won't go down Shoemaker's Lane and get it in.
No.
When are you looking to do that, Graham? Or when?
Yeah, as I said, the next thing will be when the wind is in
So you're
in
looking
the
for
right
all the
direction
old
would be
stuff.
before. Well, no, what hope that happen before then.
Yeah.
But, at the moment, we're just tracking the wind.
Yeah.
Because the last thing we want is to set, although it ain't gonna be all that big, is to light a fire and that come over the town.
Yeah, the complaints.
Well, but you will do, like you say, I agree with that, but that's why we want it to be.
Well, can those doors be taken away from Sheldon Lane? Because those doors leaned against that tree are encouraging other people to tip stuff there.
We can get them moved on our heap, I suppose.
Well, if you would, because I mean, there was 4 lawnmowers there at one point.
Yeah.
Now,
Does scrap metal man still come round?
yeah, well, I've asked him to. He promised that every month he'd come round and any metal he saw on those sites, he'd get rid of.
I think we have another one circulating around Swaffham collecting metal.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, certainly,
Sure, the name is different.
yeah, well, certainly the lawnmowers are gone.
Yeah.
But that would be nice to get rid of that door because that definitely attracts
Yeah.
people.
Not been any more put there, has there?
Well, yeah, but the funny, so we get off subject. The funny thing is that we put stuff in, and that's things like flower pots. I put a composting bin there, and the missus put some things at the chicken's nest in the other day. They weren't there a day. This was like in the morning. We went back in the afternoon, they'd all gone. So that is a place where people put stuff and
Yeah.
expect to see stuff. But then you see other people come along.
It's not an official dumping ground, is it?
No, it isn't. That's a.
Yeah.
No.
Well, but have we got the cost for this? Is going to be? Is there the money in the budget, or do we think? Okay, I know we haven't got any budget.
There
There wasn't
is
anything
a
in
lot
the
of-
budget.
Probably part of that, I thought.
But you've got to do it, Paul. I mean, there's
No, I'm
seven-
not. I'm just asking the question.
No, there isn't. 'Cause I looked.
We did the budget. Oh, well, nothing. But we'll have to take.
We'll have Have to go overspend.
So we haven't really got, put it bluntly, we haven't really got a plan for the future of where you're going
Plan
to
for the future, as far as I'm concerned, is to have a chipper.
No, no, I'm talking about general rubbish that you collect, Graham.
That's one of the things on your wish list, wasn't it,
The
Jim?
only rubbish we put down there,
It's
hopefully what come up with the allotments is tree branches or hedge cuts.
So there's no bricks or anything left down there. If somebody's dumped a load of bricks there.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, out the doors,
Collect.
Yeah,
you know, but yeah, I mean, the ideal thing would be to have a chipper. So, well, you know yourself, when we did, we put the chippings down and the holes were virtually waiting for it to chip like it did.
have you seen down there now? On Sheldon Lane in that car park, there's two massive dumps of chippings, right?
Yeah.
And I'd say within probably 10 days they've been there and they're nearly gone. You know, but chippings will always go.
Yeah.
I
Used for hens, don't they?
use for all sorts of things.
So everything,
So, I mean, if you do chip them, you can always dump them around there.
that's what that was,
You'll have to know
that was the plan.
But that's one of the things on the your wish list.
That's what my wish list,
Yeah.
chipper, but you're talking about a lot of money.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can rent them, can't you?
You can rent, and that's what we had done.
Yeah, well, that's what I'd suggest.
I think what you need is some costs, Graham.
We got
Well, I think we've got a rough idea of what it costs on your wish list, some idea.
Yeah.
The other question I'd like to ask, Graham, is these, you said there's about a dozen fridges or something.
Yeah.
So, as far as I understand it, well, there's a deposit paid for everybody, and when they give up their allotment, if it isn't cleared, that they don't get that deposit back. Is that not correct? So if there was a fridge left on there, surely that counts as not cleaning their allotment.
It come from the allotment and who left it? You got to prove who put it there. So if that was my plot, number 40, for argument's sake,
Just say the previous.
you know, but they've dumped it on your site, haven't they? So you can't, I mean, if I was on plot 40 and I had an old fridge and I dumped it on this site, how would you ever prove it was me in the first place?
So what, one of the things be to add a new rule in there that you can't have them sort of thing. I know we've got one on
To be
time.
honest, that's been a long while since we removed one. What I'm talking about down there really are all old and rusty.
Yeah.
Not electricity up.
No, you don't have fridges on allotments.
No, I know one person, one year they had, God knows how many of these open chest freezers, using them for planters, don't they, on one of the allotments years ago.
I've been one of the last chest breeders I personally removed was used as a water.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, gotta be careful with you.
Yeah, it's a refrigerator.
Know what happens if you get kids down there and something just happens and the door shut on them or something like that.
Yeah.
How do people feel that we make that one of the rules that you can't have that sort of thing on your
But
allotment?
you don't, Paul. You don't have fridges.
If we're putting it in the rules and regulations.
Oh, don't start putting them in. We got more rules and regulations. There are in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights published by the United Nations.
That is where it's come from.
Carol,
Yeah, well,
I thought that there was something in the rules that all doors supposed to be removed from fridges and chests to stop children from getting in there. I think that's.
that might be a
national.
national rule, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Have we got a plan we haven't got a plan for the future, really, have we?
Well,
To be honest, you can't make it.
Maybe one of our meetings in the future, we need to review the allotment rules. Would that,
Man will take them, wouldn't they?
I thought so.
I'm
They've just recently been done.
contacting.
Is anyone objecting if somebody goes down there and takes all our metal bits?
we'll go down and we'll only go down on.
I'll be going down. I want to look at the bricks.
I think it's dodgy
so
because
where do we go from here?
I personally don't think that's a good idea to invite the public down.
No, no.
Well, officially, they shouldn't be on there at all anyway, unless you go and up to the.
Yeah, I think so. I personally think if pallets or anything are required for someone, they make an inquiry at the office and we get them either,
Yeah.
you know, meet them halfway or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting we're doing a delivery service right now, but,
No.
but, you know,
Because I've had rows with dog walkers and that going down there, that officially, unless you've got an allotment, you're not allowed on their site.
Go where everyone goes through there.
I know they do, but
Jogger, weren't there?
probably every week. You'd mow naturally point all the way down to the bottom, then the cable's not.
oh, the sign's fairly clear on that. It's tenant holders only or something, it used to say, didn't it?
we not be getting rid of these fridges. So that's
Where we get rid of, skip companies all taking
The
it.
metal man will take them.
I don't think I.
yeah, but this refrigerant and
There.
dispose.
No, they will take them.
Yeah, but will they dispose of the refrigerant safely? That unless they're a waste carrier,
I
they
think
have to
they
be
are.
licensed carrier,
They have to be
don't
licensed.
know what.
Now, do you break in the license if they're not a licensed carrier, you
Yeah.
use them?
So we're sort of pretty much stuck here then.
Yeah. So where do we go from here?
I don't know. Every option is,
Into this metal.
Get this.
removed.
Just get this, what I said.
Yeah.
I read out what my proposal.
Don't do anything unless you do it through the council, because otherwise.
When we're left with
Well,
whatever.
if I get them
we'll
in
report
there, and I'll
back to
bring
you.
it to you.
Here's-
It's transfer.
here's a, so, here's a proposal. We accept what Graham proposes. I propose that we accept his proposal.
I don't know what is, sorry, Graham.
Okay, we've already checked that.
Proposal
Yeah,
could
yeah.
be done for all of
So
you.
we'll then, so we'll now burn what we can.
Mhm.
We'll then take the metal away,
Yeah.
to get recycled.
Yeah.
And then whatever's left, we'll load. With the hire, we'll load and shovel on a lorry or a skip lorry, then we'll just remove everything else.
Yeah.
Which will only leave.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, the old, very old fridge, freezers and car tires.
Yeah.
Which.
Still need to get rid of those.
We will.
Yeah.
But
We will need a licensed carrier to do that.
Anyway,
So
that is
there's
the,
any way we can get round that.
Well, then we've looked into that, and the only thing I can think of, sometimes, and I don't know how, don't even know if I'm 100% correct in this, sometimes Brecon do have amnesty days.
Do.
Now, whether that includes fridges and freezers, I don't know, because obviously we're talking about the,
Paint,
Got
isn't
one of
it?
them.
Yeah.
there's one
the
been,
on the plane, don't we?
Yeah.
there's one been
But if-
Inquiry.
we'll have to make some inquiries, because
Yeah. Yeah, if you would.
the last time I tried to go up there with the council
Yeah.
truck, they turned me away.
yeah, they will do.
Kept things on the side.
Yeah, because I know.
Could we- I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, everybody in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But all we're saying is that he was, we want, and those doors,
Try.
and those doors especially, they got to go quickly, because people are using that.
Could we ask for a sign to go on there to say this is not an official document?
We've got one.
Well,
Got one, have we?
Look on the photos, that's our photograph.
Yeah.
There are no rules anymore, is there?
No, I'm just trying to think out loud.
You're right, you're right.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
we'll move on then, yeah? Anything else on allotments?
Yeah, I've got.
Anything from Scarborough at all?
Well, yeah, I mean, do the whole thing in one go, can't we?
Yeah.
I mean, some of those plots that we see again and again and again and again are still rubbish, and I don't know what's being done about them.
Well, they're going through the process with letters.
But is it a process that's got a finite
Yeah.
time limit to it?
One warning, two warning,
Yeah.
final warning.
Because you know what I'm saying, there's one I actually do this afternoon, that's been like this for years. There's one of these plots particularly, been like this for years. And nothing seems to change, particularly Mr. Hanlon, who you got on board. Anyway,
Right, okay. Anything for the management report? The management, I think we've already dealt with it, and
It might not seem appropriate, but
only from report from the allotments of deputy clerk.
Just done that one.
Yeah, I think we've had, but
we're
Yeah.
finished with that.
along Monk's Path by that Tumbler Hill allotment, there's this horrible row of play land on it. Cut out all the light. It's a horrible row of trees. Is there any way that they can all be cut down? 'Cause I hate lay land on.
Good.
With a vengeance.
That is Brecken's for Blackburn Apartments.
Oh, is it?
And what, my opinion, again, what I think has happened is obviously they've planted, since they've been planted, the residents moved the fence back behind them. They not take responsibility. We had one fall down over winter or part of it,
Yeah, I
so
saw
we
it.
cleared up, you know, rather than by the time you report them, what, that block the footpath, so we just took it on
Yeah.
ourselves to clear it
They
up.
grow higher.
But I
and
know
higher.
exactly what you
They're
mean.
not under control, are they?
They're not managed at all by
Yeah.
anybody. I think, again, that's only my opinion. I think the residents, you know, have now disowned them by moving their fence behind them.
Yeah,
And, yeah, they just, I was,
no one's trying to do.
that is Brecken's.
Yeah.
You can go through the town, Grant, can't you? Everywhere in this town is the same.
you can't do something you want to write to Bracknell about, would it do any good? I don't suppose it'll do any good, but is it worth a letter?
You could try it. Is it Bracknell or?
Bracknell, yeah, Bracknell, wouldn't it? Yeah. Anything else on allotments? Go on to the escape. There's nobody from escape. Have you had a report at all? Keep meaning I'm going to go up there and have a look at that sometimes, see what's happening. Okay, we'll move on then to consider quotes for maintenance of the small truck and discuss replacing with electric vehicle. Been lots of comments on this, hasn't there?
That latest quote for the repairs to that truck, I think that's Grandma's for the catalytic converter in it to re-replace
Sensors, yeah.
and the sensors. Well, I've just had that done on mine, and that's only 4 years old before I got rid of it. So that is, and what I'm getting at is that isn't a, I don't know how you describe it really, but that isn't the thing falling to bits. I've had to have one of those changed.
They start to smell, don't they?
Yeah. Well, not only that, but you get a warning light come on.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is,
Management light on.
yeah, but if you look at the history of that little truck, for instance, that passed its MOT, there was a petrol leak which was fixed. And I understand from the comments that were made at one of our previous meetings that you've now instigated a system where people sign off when they take the keys, which didn't exist before, did it? But exists now. So what I'm saying is, if you've got a smell of petrol in the truck, you don't just keep driving it and complain about it. You want something about it. That was my only comment when we discussed it before. But if you now look at that catalytic converter, which is a massive bill, the previous bill was like 300 or 400 quid. That electric vehicle is going to cost us that nearly each month in finance payments. If you're going to buy that thing, it's going to be horrendously expensive. My personal view is that we spend the money on that little truck. It does about 100 miles a week, you know.
Will that then be how can I put it? Reliable for the future.
I've not heard anything.
I don't know. I Graham's on, but lads use it. They're the ones that will probably know more idea than anybody.
Well, can I just say the biggest problem we have with our vehicles is their stop, start, stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since that little truck, since I had that truck, we've gone through God knows how many start moves. Had the head redone twice on the engine. Stopped doing either managers. I've been next to our business.
Yeah.
I've asked to look into quotes and what have you for electric vehicles, which are coming out very expensive. I really just fell upon it by luck, really. I found one at Ben Burgess for £23,000, 2 years old. I looked into it a bit more. The guy, Ben Burgess, has got a big show in Sheffield this week, and the guy actually sort of, I won't say caught us unaware, but offered us to leave it here as a demonstrator for a week. He said that was standing swapping tank codes as well that came at ours. That stands outside now. Right, it's an electric truck. Yes, that's got a box back, which we would have an open back on the thing. It charges up a 3-pin plug, so that can be charged on cheap rate electricity overnight. That's got a battery life, if you like, of 30 miles, which a lot of people said that's not much, but we don't do nowhere near 30 miles a day. You know, I think that's also got maximum speed about 35 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, but most of the time's 20 anyway.
We wouldn't be doing
So
that
again,
anyway.
that's not, you know, that's not a thing. So like I said, I didn't expect to get it on demonstration, and we haven't insured it, so that's not going on the road, but it does stand down there now if anyone's interested. We'll have a look.
Why don't you insure it, Grant? Why don't you insure and use it? Sorry,
What the main reason was there's so much negativity flying about electric vehicles that I just assumed if I was to spend 100 quid or 150 quid on insurance for a week, I'd get bombarded with emails again why this has been spent.
Well, there's no point having it there if you don't try it.
Well, yeah, but
Can we do that?
everybody
Yeah, well,
negativity was they want to keep the little truck
So how long will they be there?
until next Monday morning, 9 o'clock.
So you got about 3 or 4 days then.
2 days basically. to insure it.
It's too late now. That's a shame. He didn't send an email out because I'd have really supported insuring it. Because otherwise it's pointless having it. You haven't.
Well,
You
that's something
haven't-
to ask for, and there's nothing stopping us asking for it then.
So it's not the £48,000 one,
No,
it's 23.
This is the one I've looked, this is obviously the demonstrator, that's not the one on, that if we was to go with, we're buying. The cab is exactly the same, but the back, there's a 1.6 metre long open back, which would be big enough for Ian to take all his marker. Boards and posts and chains, barriers, whatever you want. You know, and that is really what, and we would use it like we use our little truck now for the small things. A big truck is what the boys use mainly, and
Yeah.
that'd be to me the ideal runaround. But you know, at the end of the day, the decision is yours, everybody. That's stand down there now. You're welcome to look around directly after the meeting.
Yeah, we could.
You can run it up and down the yard. Well,
But Grandad, I just think we should try and get another 2 weeks out of
get
it.
a week out of it. See if we can get a week out of it, and then insure it. I mean, that's that.
Yeah.
But just one thing, Graham, you talk about negativity. The reason I think there's a lot of negativity is not particularly the fact that's an electric vehicle or anything else. But we got two figures that we were given. One was 48,000 to buy it. Another one was 5,000 for the electrical point, which I don't know what others around the table think, but that was bark and mad to me for us to do 100 miles a week.
that 5,000 never come out of my office.
Well, no, I'm just saying that
Yeah, I saw that on somewhere.
and-
Yeah,
and-
I-
and-
that was-
and it-
you know, if you go out on an email
I mean,
somewhere.
that looked disproportionate.
well, that's what we're saying. We just looked
If
at
we
it.
got
That's
Proper
crazy.
figures, Graham,
Yeah.
we could consider it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Like I
that
said,
these clarifying your figures, Graham, which is, then, if we can get it for that, if you can get it for another week, I think, would we all agree
Yeah.
to accept
Yeah,
your,
You can't but
extending the insurance to cover it for a week or something?
you can't demonstrate it sits in the car park.
And also tick the box because you all signed up for the climate action
Who did with
policy.
But I think there's a hell of a lot of difference between 20, what was it you were saying, Graham, back 2020?
That was this, the one I've looked at
Yeah,
is 2 years old.
Yeah.
And that's 22,995, I
yeah,
think.
23 is near, mate, so there's a lot of difference between that and the 48 that was floating around.
53.
Well, whatever.
For the
Well,
two-
if you put the electric in,
But if you can charge it out of a, I don't know
Big plug.
how the hell you do that.
That's a battery size ground, because that's only got a range of 30 miles.
Yes. Yeah, I get you.
See, that's a small battery, what would be on.
and is that, if it go, would that have some sort of, maintenance guarantee on it?
Really is. That's all it is.
That's all it is. Yeah.
But
Caroline?
I just wondered, have you haggled to get the price down?
We ain't even discussed the project, we ain't even discussed, we literally just got, I made an inquiry about it, and the guy said, well, actually, next week, we're all up at Sheffield, I'll leave a demo there for you, and we'll talk about it when you come back.
that's
That's where we are.
Try and haggle.
that's
Yeah.
ballpark figures. That's going to
Yeah.
cost somewhere like 350, 400 a month, and I would
well,
guess
obviously no idea, but yeah, I'm just,
something
I
like
don't
that.
know.
I was thinking 350.
Factor in any maintenance charges.
Oh yeah, well, I'm just
Yeah.
ignoring. No, sorry, Lindsay. I'm just saying purely to have it, not maintenance or insurance or anything else.
Got to consider as well.
It would be about 350 a month. I would guess.
yeah,
Oh,
fine,
that's-
but by, you know, when the guy come back, we will drum out them figures of him, you know what I mean? So that's how we left it, because to be honest, he bought Monday, and that was about 10 minutes, literally 10 minutes before we left off when he turned up.
Right.
So-
I think if you agree that we authorise Graham to ask for further week,
Yeah.
and we authorise the insurance
Okay.
for this committee, then after Graham's had that for that week and comes back with the actual figures, that could go to council or finance or something.
We could do it.
Yes,
Do it by email or something. Because
We could do
everyone
it,
knows
yeah.
the issues, don't they?
Haven't we got a bit of
I think it'd have to be an official vote, wouldn't it?
money? If it's 100 quid,
I want,
Oh, we can do the insurance, that's no problem, that's no problem, we can agree that, I
Yeah.
don't think,
okay.
can't we, I'm right saying, no?
Well, you say as long as there's no more than.
I'll get on with it, for goodness sake. We'll be dithering about
Can't
it.
see it being that
Oh,
money
one
anyway.
other thing, Graham,
Yeah.
the length of life of the battery,
Yeah.
only years.
yeah, this is it.
That's all.
I've no idea.
Ah,
Like I say,
You
they
could-
literally dropped it off
yeah.
and ran.
Find out what
Yeah.
their placement
But
can
not,
be.
yeah, we've got all this maintenance and all, you know, things that,
We've got.
That'd be important.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the best way we can go, let Graham try and get it, if he can get it for another week, we're agreed to purchase it or extended the insurance to cover it.
Yeah.
That period, and then Graham will make his report and
I'll do it.
go back to the next possible meeting.
Tell Leanne and then that's up to hang on what.
Yeah.
Distribute.
Yes, good. Everybody happy with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That'd be
All right.
getting on, Paul.
Are we? Town centre,
So no, you'll never get.
to update more and more cleaning. Graham, is that you?
It'll be booked in and all done by the VE Day celebrations.
But totally that once, you have agreed the contract to come and do that. Once that's done, we will be. I just said it wrong. I don't know if we've got to do it now before or after, but we've got a pressure wash. We'll hire a pressure washer. And pressure wash all the slabs in that whole area.
Yeah.
That's something Breton used to do, but now obviously that's down for our ownership, so.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that's, you know, and also once they're done their pressure washing, any painting of railings, white curves and that.
Yeah.
Get it ready for the,
Yeah, because we don't know exactly what the programme is for that yet, do we?
It's all,
For VE Day, sorry, I'm jumping the gun a bit, Graham.
I think,
I assume there's going to be a reef laying and all this sort of thing in the normal.
I don't know what actual, when I was a beacon being there,
Yeah,
with, was come on. But I think Nicola know more about
yeah.
it.
Can I just have sort of a general, very broad point with this? That is going to be a special day, isn't it?
yeah.
We're not going to have this thing about new flags and that sort of thing again.
It's a commemorative event.
I thought we
Right.
agreed to purchase some
This is a
flags.
celebration.
Well, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We agreed to flags.
That will be it.
But all I'm saying is, it is the principle of it that it's going to be worthy of this time.
Yeah.
This is a celebration.
It's a celebration
Yes.
as opposed to a commemoration. That's
Yes.
different.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm just saying it's got to be worthy of this time. And the people who,
Yeah, we do
You
what
can't.
the national
We
government.
was turned down for any grants for this, so we haven't had any grants, so it's got to out of our money, hasn't it?
said there were grants for Breckland, have we
Yeah, but we
applied for
was
them?
turned down. What-
I don't think we've got it.
We didn't get it.
No.
Oh. Right, but that has got to be good, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, we'll hope so.
Well,
No, but I'm hoping we can follow on with some BJ Day in, I think that's
Yeah.
September, isn't it?
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, I mean, they are
Anyway,
special days.
sorry, Caroline.
I was proposed to clean the town up with volunteers, but unfortunately I went in for an operation and it's gone a little bit wrong. But I'm hoping that in a couple of weeks I'll be back on my feet. Do you want me to carry on and do that?
Yeah. Great.
But
Right.
just keep the staff informed of what's going on, so that they-
I don't know who the volunteers were at the
I think it
time.
was you and David Braithwaite and
Yeah, that was councillors, but I don't know who the volunteers
Oh,
were.
I think we'll all be pleased to see it, but it just need to keep informed of what you're doing.
I don't know who they were, but apparently you had some
yeah,
volunteers.
we did. They turned up every week.
I don't think we.
Oh, you're not do you? No.
So I don't know who they are.
No.
All I know is that it came across that there was
David
seven,
Braithwaite.
and I said, what happens if I'm ill? I won't be able to do it. And then David said, well, there'll be other councillors. That's all
I'll
I
speak
know.
to David. See
Yeah.
who's in the-
But no one turned up for Christmas, did they? Which was what I was hoping for. Someone would step into my shoes. Because Dave did ask me about Christmas and I said, I'm still off my feet.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I'll speak
Yeah.
to David.
We'll follow that.
it'd do me some good. I'll lose some
Yeah.
weight.
That's that. And I hope we will do something on VJ Day as well. So, nothing else on War Memorial.
No.
Provide update on public toilets CCTV. I know there's been some comments on Facebook and.
I thought they would be actually.
They're not in the toilets, Carol.
Yeah, and do you want to
I
speak?
know, but it's just that they are in the toilet.
They are.
own the toilets.
And they're not
Well,
allowed
they
to
can
just in
just-
it, but in front they can. They are. in the
That's perfectly allowed
Let
to the toilet.
Leanne
So
Don't kick it off.
So the toilet, there's two outside of the toilets and one in each side of the toilets, but the pan area is blocked out, so you can't see that area. We've had at least 3 reports. There's been 2 drug smokers in there. And there's a young lad
got beaten up.
being beaten up, which we've caught on the cameras. So we have looked at Breckman's website and they've got a surveillance. Show you what they've got, identification, which Thetford and other town councils use.
That's a good idea.
So what we can do is clip the pictures and report any incidents on this website. So people
Why not do that for the dog poopers?
give us video evidence or photographic evidence of them, then we
Right,
can.
you can use it, can you? Right.
As long as it's got to be completely clear and absolutely.
On a practical level, once you've reported it to Breckman, do they just sort of file it away and into the system, or does anything positive come from it?
It has to be
I
destroyed.
think it then goes to the police,
Who would do, you know what happens then?
but at least they've
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
statistical numbers,
Yeah.
haven't they?
Where did the cameras go up? Yeah.
They went up about 4 weeks ago.
Last one.
Because
On Thursday before.
my understanding was
Or
they were going to be put on Matthew Green's wall.
Apparently that wasn't.
there was a
wasn't
talk that
feasible.
they've got cages around these little ones right outside the toilet, so you can get them walking around.
That's okay then. But he did give permission to put them on his wall.
Yeah, when we met with the CCTV guys, said they'd be better. but-
Okay, that's fine. That's okay. It's fine. Fine. That's all right. Well, I did speak. That's all. So that I'd said
I
Was-
use them toilets, so I was a bit concerned.
I said I'd speak to Matthew, and then which I didn't come back.
Yeah.
Said you had the choice, but that wasn't the best option.
No, you can't have them actually on the toilet.
Right. No, I never knew that. I've stopped going in there and doing what I normally do then.
On the toilet itself.
Yes, we don't want to see that, Graham.
Did you say on the toilet itself? No, I was going to say it's pretty smart as well.
Yeah, there's black out. So you can't. see them.
It's about a shit.
You must have been away with, I did miss.
Things. But I should imagine it probably does feel, I'll go in there and find out, but I should imagine you do feel exposed with those cameras. It's just a mind thing, isn't it?
We're not sitting there watching them.
Yeah.
If there's an incident, we'll go back and whatever rough time the incident occurred, we'll go back and.
Because I know when I used to do cameras in security, we had to be, what's the name that we did it, had to be trained. And then we, it went on like a cycle thing that it then got automatically deleted.
Delete after
2 weeks.
so many days, yeah.
Yeah.
Forever, it's like 21 days, is it?
Yeah.
I obviously don't know. Well, that was put in on Thursday when I went here. So
Well, I'm there to tell them how long.
I'll
Yeah.
go in there and see what it feels like.
I might even notice it
there's a
looks
big
like
one
this.
there.
Type thing,
We had to put signs.
But there is signage everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they said they saw the signage.
Okay, anything else on that at all?
He's not working, is it?
This is another thing we've found, that the last 2 days, lads have been putting 20p in, putting a stone against the door, so that's
Yeah.
great to everyone else, but.
Good about that, is it?
I mean,
Okay, move on. Public open space and play areas. Discuss and consider Love Your Market funded project.
So,
This
two
is
would be
tough, isn't it?
to get 2 projects through. One is a family fun day, which will be held on camping ground. And there'll be a lot of support services and tents and gazebos, activities. There's a petting zoo coming to encourage people to come to Swaffham. And the other project is the duck. I don't know if you've heard about.
There's been a lot of comments.
The vision of the duck is not going to be the duck, the Mexican dead duck. That was just an example of the size. So Nicholas reached out to local artists who would come in to help with the project. So there'll be a public consultation, so the public can say what kind of theme the duck would be.
Has the men's shed been approached? The men's shed, they do a lot of stuff with wood and all that.
No, we've got the duck.
Oh,
The
right.
funding is for the blank duck. So we're looking for artists to come and help
Yeah.
paint the duck.
She knows it. Good eating.
Have we got any dates for that at all?
No, we need to just agree that that's okay to proceed with
I
it.
should imagine the high school would probably be interested in
I'm sure there'll be no.
pupils doing that.
Really don't.
Yeah, there'll be,
Yeah.
launch about it.
So do you want us to set a date or
No.
is that just to agree that
Happy for us to go forward with these two events,
Not the duck,
not the duck.
not personally. That's just a no,
That's
it's fine, it's fine. That's just my view.
it isn't really costing us anything, is
I
it?
don't care what it's costing, it's the whole.
It's what for me is all about the dogs.
So it's hope.
I think
once
it's something novel we sell.
once it's done, that'll be.
It look silly, that's all.
Camping.
That's a brilliant idea, that is.
Right opposite your bungalow.
What? I'll provide the toilet facilities.
But I encourage people to come to Swaffham.
Well, yeah, I'm in favour of that.
Okay.
I'm in favour of that. But when you start talking about that duck,
We can't really change it there. It's too late in the day, isn't it, really, to sort of change, if that was a decision.
Well, Breckland agreed to fund the duck.
Yeah.
so really, we've got to go ahead with it, haven't we?
Yeah.
And take
Right.
it back.
So
That's what I'm trying to say, it's virtually
where's it going to be?
Camping.
camping
Oh,
land.
can
Oh,
and
Obviously, Graham's house.
anyone.
So is that why the public about a theme, and then Nicholas contacted local Swaffham artists to come and help
oh,
with the final design.
yeah.
A bit fun.
And there's going to be a trial of duck something around or something,
Yeah.
as well, to follow
It's not-
something of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be destroyed.
Okay.
Big duck.
No,
We're talking.
Hello,
Like
I'll get the mallet boy. Yeah, are you all happy with it? And
Not really.
Yeah, well, please, because there's a decision, please show if you're
It's
happy
not
with
going
it.
to cost the council anything, is it?
So
Right,
it's four, and one abstain or against.
I've got to do a Paul Derby.
So what about the family fun day?
I'm not for that.
All for the fuck, yeah,
I can't support the duck. So,
okay, sorry. I split them.
they're going to come in your door.
I know, I share with this thing.
Nothing else on that, yeah.
Yeah.
Discuss and consider inspection report from Graham Compressor, 83 Marketplace.
Has anyone seen this tree?
No.
No.
Yes, that's it. I parked in the car park virtually next to it the other night and I did look at it.
You're brave of looking, I am.
Yeah.
That is it.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's a tall tree.
trace at random. That's
It's conifer, is it?
that's about a foot away from our
Yeah, that's
oh,
it.
from the back wall.
It's this one you're talking about,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the first one.
you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I parked virtually right next to that the other night.
And I've made a report on it. I've got plan.
But we've had inspections, as far as I understand it, the council have had inspections done to it and it's been reported as being safe.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Graham, go.
Well, the report literally just come in, so.
We haven't seen that, no.
Not accepted.
But we can't. Yeah, I haven't had a look at it.
Hang on, let Graham.
Sorry, Graham.
Well, when the report just come in, I just very quickly clicked through.
Yeah.
And on that tree, there's no work required.
No, but here we go then. If you look at that, that is completely unsuitable to be a foot away from the back wall of a property. As a first. Secondly, whenever the wind blows and go on, quick, show it.
Well, I'm just thinking is that in declaration of interest?
I haven't got an interest in that place. I don't own it. I don't own a share in it.
You know,
That's not owned by a limited company that I own a share in. Nothing.
What- I know you've been doing some of this and it's been come up before, but seeing as we had the report done, it's reported that it's safe. As far as we're concerned, we've covered us as backsides for the insurance stuff.
But you haven't, Paul.
Yes, we have.
No, you haven't, because I've got an engineer's report and I've got plan permission, I've got witness statements from people who've seen that tree moving in high winds. The winds are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. and that tree is going to be a danger. And at some point, I believe that's going to.
Sorry, he's got.
That's fine. And at some point, that's going to come down. Look, that's a shallow rooted fir tree. Now, I asked for this meeting, if that character who did that report is of the opinion that's safe, I want an actual written analysis and statement from him, not just no work required. I don't know what the question was. So,
Trees.
no, I know, but that's inadequate. And I said that I want a full written report from him as to why that should stay, bearing in mind its proximity to the building, bearing in mind the overhang of the branches, etc. And we haven't got it. A bland comment, no work, is not the answer. I want to pursue that. And if that man says that that tree represents no danger to anybody or the buildings, then I want his insurance details so I can contact them to take issue with what he will say. That ain't going to end, Leanne. This is not going to end.
They're going to have to agree to have a specific in-depth report
Yeah.
done for that tree.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. And the other thing is that if you take, for example, April 1922, 2022, but the clerk agreed that it would come down. The only thing that held it up was getting the second quote for the removal of it. That's it. Right. And now
So-
suddenly,
That tree,
yeah, that tree, that specific
because
tree.
there was more trees there at one stage, and there's some have been removed, haven't they?
what meeting was that in? Just so we can look back.
And so
Is it full council?
it's page 583. Yeah, I think it was full council. Bishop says, it was unanimously agreed to obtain a second comparative quote as soon as possible to ask Bretton Tree Office to review the trees for discussion and agreement at the full finance 4th of May 22. But I got planning permission from the tree officer to take that tree down. The only thing standing in its way is that you seem disinclined to want to do it.
So is that tree listed?
Yes, and I've got permission to take it down from the tree officer.
Who got permission?
I did.
Why have you got no interest
Why?
in it?
Because I'm merely the agent.
So
If you look at the plan-
if you're the agent then, Graham, sorry to push this, but you've got an interest in this.
In planning terms, I did the planning application. That doesn't make me responsible any more than an architect would be.
No, but you've got an interest.
No, I did the planning application. I'm
Well,
not,
that's up to you. I can't force you to declare an interest.
no, but I don't own the building. I don't own a share in it. It's not owned by anyone.
But-
Anything to do with me whatsoever.
I don't know. We've had reports, and I'll go to Leanne. What should we talk to our, just ask our insurance people what the situation is? If
The insurance. Would go by our annual tree report.
Yeah.
and as far as that's concerned, it's fine.
But that's been queried by a consultant engineer who says it's dangerous.
Have we had a copy of that report?
Yeah, you have everything. I've sent it. I've sent the planning application. I've sent the written statements from people who are terrified by it when the wind blows. And I've got a report from a structural engineer who you use saying it's dangerous. I don't quite know what more you could reasonably expect to provide before you accept the inevitable.
So we're playing one professional off against another, really.
I don't know if he's a professional. Don't think about the bloke.
I don't know either.
No, but-
So
But it all comes back to the question. If that man said, what state is that tree? And he might say, the tree is fine, no work. He's answered it. But if you were to say to him, does that pose a potential danger to the building and et cetera, his answer might be different. But I've got statements from people, we've stood there when the wind blows with the ground moving like that. It's ludicrous to even look at it.
It does look.
Yeah, please.
In my opinion, I've
Yeah.
been around that tree hundreds of times and I've never seen a crack or any movement in the soil, but again, that's what I've seen and that's my opinion.
Yeah, but
And Graham's got his opinion. Like you rightly say,
Yeah.
you know, we take on this tree report it does the whole town every other year and the churchyard every year. And we obviously pay for that and that's what we go by,
yeah, would
you know.
But Graham, on a bigger issue, If you lived in that property, would you be happy with that tree that close to the back wall of your house?
The tree's been there a bloody long time.
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. That's the whole point. If you look at photos dating back to the Second World War celebrations, that tree doesn't appear above the roof line. Yeah, but I'm asking a simple question, Graham. Would you have that? Would you want that tree that close to the back wall of
Bit
your
of a tree back to property, if my personal opinion, I wouldn't buy the property.
No, see, yeah, but I can't.
It's not my problem, is it?
No.
We've sorted.
Can I try and make a
Well, it's your
compromise?
fault. Because one day it could fall down and kill people. Then what are you gonna do?
I think a compromise, we've had a report from our tree inspector, and you've had this report from Graham. Yeah, Graham Edward, yeah. Would a compromise be to ask the Brackland tree officer who knows about trees and this sort of situation, come out and have a look at this and give us his opinion on it?
Well, he has, my friend. He's given us planning permission to cut it down.
Well, let's get that again, because I don't know if you've got that. Have you got that in writing?
Yeah,
I've got the application.
You've had everything. You've had statements, the statement from the engineer, you've had the planning approval, and this has been going on since 22, April 22. It's coming up to 3 years.
So the tree stood for them 3 years then.
Listen, you laugh, Lindsay, if that falls down and kills someone. Let's see the smile on your face when that happens.
So where can we go from here?
No, it's not.
Where can we go from here?
No, you're not. You've been told there's no work required.
Yeah.
The other thing is, then, as those branches overhang that property, can they all be removed, please? So that doesn't do that anymore. Can you remove the branches that overhang the property, 83 Marketplace? Can you please sort that out? Get the branches removed that overhang.
Are they touching?
So that'll have to be
I don't want,
a clock.
no, but the branches overhang another property.
Said no work. Surely if they were unsafe, he would have.
That's nothing to do with that. Branches overhanging a property can be removed. And on behalf of the owner, I'd like them to be removed.
The problem we got is we've got two different opinions.
No,
Yes.
just answer.
Whichever way you look at it, it's two different opinions, isn't it? You got two different professionals in their own fields looking at this, and they're coming up with different answers.
And Brackland Councilman, Paul, who's the umpire, has said he accepts that and that can go.
Yes, I don't know. I've
Well,
got the
I'll send you a copy of it.
yes, send it to the office as well. And John,
Yeah, I think, Graham, it should be dealt with as a private individual coming to the council, not as you as a councillor representing that individual at this meeting.
As their agent.
Well,
Well,
you're an agent. Well, that's the thing, mate. To me, you're advocating for a private individual on the council, using your position as councillor, and that is wrong to me.
But I represent lots of people in this council.
Yeah.
Individuals in the town.
Well, you're a representative of people in general, not of individuals.
No.
You shouldn't. I don't know. It doesn't seem right to me. I think there might be well be a case in what you're saying about danger to it, but you've got to say to the property owner they've got to present the evidence to the council, and then let the council decide. Now,
Without the evidence.
we might need expert advice on that, because we don't know ourselves. But I think that's the way it should be done. It shouldn't be done by you representing an individual on the council. It just doesn't seem right to me.
I've represented several individuals in this on this council.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I represent all the residents. If a resident.
Well, you do.
But don't we all do?
So I don't.
But that's not individuals. If I came along and said, I don't know, someone I know, and I said, and I started to represent them on this council, that would be wrong.
Yeah.
Of me to do, well, it's not my place to do that.
I want,
They can come along, to me and say, this is what's wrong, you know, can you do something about it? It's dangerous to my property, and it might well be, right? And I'm not arguing that it isn't, but you've got to go through a proper procedure to get there.
I represented a chap with the rubbish on Sholdham Lane, so am I wrong to represent the person who's complained about the rubbish on Sholdham Lane?
Well, yeah, but that is on behalf of everyone, really.
No, it isn't.
Rubbish on shoulder,
Right.
if it's everyone.
Graham, this will be the last one, then we're going to try and draw this to a close.
Right, Kendall's overhanging plans should be removed as soon as possible then.
If
Right.
the owner, in my opinion, if the owner writes in and
Yeah.
requests it,
No,
no, sorry, we'll get a quote for them.
Yeah.
If and when the owner writes in and
right,
requests.
so the owner would be the faculty for the church.
Sorry?
The owner would be the faculty for the church.
The owner whose property overhangs.
We agreed.
Sorry, yeah, but we'd have to
We
get,
talked about 4 Mangate Street.
yeah,
The owner requested that we looked into it.
Yeah.
And what you agreed was I'd get quotes, so I'd feel.
It's the
we can't
same.
treat everybody the same. I mean,
It is the
I'd take
same.
100 trees, around swapping with branches of land properties.
Yeah.
So, you know,
but even to do that, we'd have to get the permission from the faculty anyway, wouldn't we? The church,
yeah, probably, yeah.
yeah. So
But
would a compromise be for Graham to get somebody that knows what they're doing, or obviously
I've got,
trained?
I've got
Yeah,
to put the other one, but both at the same time.
Yeah, so shall we do that for the first instance, then go from there?
Yeah.
Everyone, all those in favour?
Yeah.
Please, Joe.
They're taking this tree down, we still haven't resolved that.
No, well, let's go one step at a time. Is it? In my opinion. I might be wrong, but there you go.
So what do you want then with regard to taking this tree down?
Well, nothing
What-
at the moment.
You
It's
you
on,
want to
it's,
see
it's on invalence, put it that way.
in bounds for
No, I don't think you can do that. Paul. I think whoever owns that, the property that's affected has got to write into the council, explain their point of view and present any evidence that they have so that the council can consider that properly and take a view.
So 3
At
years.
the moment, we're just getting two conflicting views. And I think it'd be more straightforward if we had all the evidence presented to the council.
Well, again, John, this has been going on for
Well, it
3
might be,
years.
Graham, but it's new to me.
Right.
Unbelievable.
I
You know, we've already got that, haven't we? And the only thing added to that was getting an actual letter from the property owner.
I
It's the
think
only-
we
only
need something
added
from the
thing to that.
property owner, in writing, that he is challenging the council, saying this is affecting my property, and this is what is being recommended to me, right? Then we can proceed from there, I think.
That's ridiculous. I mean, the planning application run out soon.
Put it to a vote, we had a vote on it, so we go from where we are. Graham's going to sort of get some quotes for knocking the branches off of those. Go from there. I think that's it. Yeah, when Graham comes back with that report, we'll look at it again. Okay, I think you could keep going around in circles all day on it. To consider annual quote for Norfolk Hall pest control.
He came in at the same price as last year at 675, and Anglian Water paid 66.6% of that, and we paid 33 and a third.
Is he doing a good job?
Well,
I
I had
like-
complaints of
No,
that.
I mean, Graham, do you think he's doing a good job?
To be honest, I've seen no rats down there, but I think we're going there that often.
No, I don't.
But that's my honest opinion.
Yeah.
I was down there last week trimming the bank, and while we was down there most of the day, we never saw anything, so.
I
You did
move to
get-
go, continue with the. Somebody second that, I move that we continue in second. Yeah, all those in favour, yeah, just to be completely.
He gives us a report, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He seems to do a good job.
Yeah, I think he's done a good job.
To receive a site area inspection check, so we all had the reports and went, looked at them. Anybody got any comments on Graham? Do you want to add anything to that at all?
Only that the thing on the zip wires on order.
Yeah.
And, you know, and when that come in, that'll be fair.
There's no news about the wreck.
with reiterate.
Still waiting for progress to complete.
Yes,
section
okay.
1.
Yes. Hopefully it won't be too long.
Yeah.
So nothing else on that, everybody happy? Cemetery and churchyard, annual memorial testing week commencing the 7th of April. Graham, is that you?
Not the,
Yeah.
There's, when you follow the footpath from the church to the traffic lights, on the right-hand side, there's more and more and more those gravestones falling over in there.
It's, yeah, I must admit. We probably here, 'cause we never did the church.
Oh, churchyard.
We did 70.
No, you don't do the churchyard.
We haven't,
We don't hold the records for
We
your
haven't.
churchyard.
Yeah, but I wonder who's responsible for putting those gravestones back up again.
they're all old gravestones in the
Yeah, they
church,
are.
with nearly as much under the ground there is. Obviously, I'm not saying that they still move and that, but, you know,
That ain't our responsibility, that.
well,
I don't know.
I'm said church, you know,
We think it would do, parish, wouldn't it?
church, I think we.
Well, we are.
You know,
You put a 5 there and I'll put a 10, and I think I'll get.
Because it's a closed churchyard, we're responsible for it, so I don't know whether.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it probably would come under our jurisdiction,
There's a lot of them, Paul.
but I don't know. I'm only guessing.
But with the cemetery, we hold all the grave
Records,
evidence
yeah.
details. So if there is a problem, we can contact someone
Which-
at the church.
These are
There must be records somewhere. The church must hold records.
I think to track a living relative.
No, impossible, I just think.
The one in, not sure.
to do what? To put them upright?
Yeah, to maintain it or.
That's what we do in the cemetery. If there's any problems, then we.
Lay 'em down.
Detail.
That's the responsibility of the the person buried there.
Well,
Yeah. Well, not. I tend to see, it's not really, but
where's the rights holder?
I never realised.
But some of them in the church had gone back hundreds of years.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
you're never ever going to trace anybody from some of them. Probably not existent.
We're putting lines anyway.
Yeah,
isn't
they have, well, yes, of course they have. There's no grave there.
Yeah.
But is that not possible to sort of get some assistance to do that? Because that churchyard's an important sort of focal point of the town, in my opinion.
Contact the church and see if they.
Just if there's any way that someone can pay for that to be done. That seems so sad to see these all falling over and falling into disrepair.
I think the parochial council have got records of the.
Yeah, the church would have a record.
Oh, yeah, I won't know who owns it.
That's Veronica. She probably tell you.
Yeah.
I'd just like to see him put back up again.
So we've got the new vicar there, haven't we? So, maybe it's worth having a conversation with the new vicar over this and.
Yeah, I just see the shame
Yeah.
for it. I start to look
Yeah.
sort of run down.
We'll speak to someone to see if there's any.
Just see if you can.
There's a few war graves in there as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, look, they have to buy their war graves.
Yeah, well, they would come under the War Grave Commission, wouldn't they?
Do you know where they are?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, they're around on the
two
on the
the
east side of the church.
What, Mango Street, so.
Yeah, but on the east to the
You
east.
know what, or just be rough, you just go to the bottom end,
Yeah,
there's a height difference in there,
Yeah,
just on the higher bit, near that difference. About 3/4 way down,
I never.
Yeah.
go on, what's it called? That's it, the entrance, yeah.
Never do that.
yeah.
Right down the bottom.
Yeah, down the half, yeah, getting down towards where the, what's her name is?
Gardeners.
Where the,
Years
they-
ago.
they-
Oh, yeah,
oh,
there's a few years.
Well,
You've got some fairly famous people to bury.
down the bottom, they're just
Yeah.
right near them,
Yeah.
yeah.
who's that?
Could do it Wilson.
That's it.
Yes. April. Right, sorry, where are we?
Getting off the subject again.
Yes, moral testing, so that's all guys, Graham, yeah.
You just got to confirm, wait.
Yeah. Cemetery rules and regulations.
Wait.
To adopt the policies.
Isn't there a change in that?
Well, it's the policies, is there any changes at all?
No.
It is in one of them.
There was
Yeah,
one
no.
thing, in the policy, it says all dogs must be kept on a lead. Yeah, if you go in the church, it very clearly says no dogs permitted. So the two things don't seem to go together.
In summary,
Yeah. As you go in,
In the actual cemetery, are you talking about the church?
cemetery, down the road, Brandon Road,
Round Road Cemetery.
right? There's 5 mile outside and underneath it says no dogs permitted.
what the old concrete could.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
there.
no, it's still in
Every
But yeah, it says in the thing, and I should imagine people might want to take a dog in because, you know, the one who's passed, it's their dog
Yeah.
and they want to, well, they want to see it, but
We could look at the signage, we could have a check.
have a look at that signage, Graham. It doesn't sort of, I know what it means don't exercise your dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming back to the policy then, is there anything we need to know about?
The inquiry of somebody wanted just to put a vase on the plot. So we've not actually got a price for that. So-
Go with the bit in yellow. That's something. You've got a lot of notes there about what people can and can't do.
Yeah.
Maximum of 2. See, I don't. What is the logic of all these rules? What drives that?
They're like when you're trimming and maintaining them.
I thought going from memory, I can't read that from here, but going from memory, I thought you were only allowed to have a pot plant if you put it onto the headstone or the base of the headstone. Is that not right, Graham?
To be honest, our main thing is what they're made of. It was glass. Our
Yeah.
thing is no glass, obviously, because it's summer, winter, touch it with a string of cord.
Yeah,
It's
gone.
Yes, it's gone.
So that is it. No glass. The number.
No glass, or a lot of them are plastic as well, which do take the same thing.
Right.
You know,
No, what's this?
yeah, nothing to be planted directly
No.
into the ground, which we have.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I like to be, rules got to be there. I like to be, obviously, that's very delicate situation,
Yeah.
especially someone
Yeah.
relative just gone in. So we have to be very tactful how we talk to people,
Yeah.
you know, and sometimes, you know, and when we do remove any items, we do always keep it for at least 2 months. So
Yeah.
that, you know, anyone asks us something, obviously, but sometimes, you know, it's human nature there, they want, well, see what rules and what to put a rules. Basically, anything that obstructs us from cutting, really. It's like, if we've got to stop and take every vase, that's been stuck in, you know, that makes cutting one section last 2 days. Instead of, we like to do 2 sections, at least 2 sections a day down there, otherwise you don't get round.
Just one thing. I don't suppose that's you taking the vases that's produced a complaint about flowers getting nicked. Is there a possibility? there? No, that's all right.
No, well, I don't
No, but you know what I'm saying, there has-
No, there's always theft down there every
Yeah.
weekend, so.
But that ain't a misunderstanding between you
No,
taking the
no,
vase.
no.
All right.
What we normally do, we put a note down first, give them a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Just put it in a policy
Mm.
bag, so, because obviously a lot of people go down on weekends when we're
Yeah.
not there.
That just made me think of
Let's put a note down just to say,
Give them
please
notice,
remove, but if you don't, we will.
Yeah.
So, like to be tactful about it, you know.
Okay.
So the ones in yellow, is there any change, things we need to change on that?
No, I think that's just a highlight.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So does everybody agree to
Yeah.
the policy as it is?
Yes.
Yes.
What
please.
about taking those little signs down?
Yeah, I'm looking.
Well, that isn't really within policy, that's something
Because,
that, well, we look at it.
it's the policy in here.
Yeah.
But the-
No change. Okay, everybody happy?
Yeah, happy with that.
Diction and, you know.
Assets management and register.
Yeah, there's no changes on that one.
Everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm happy with that as well.
Yeah. Good. Memorial testing procedure.
No changes on that one.
No.
To agree the date of the next meeting, which is the 28th of May, 25.
28th of May, is it, Paul?
28th of May, yes, on.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else? I think we're virtually there. Okay. Good gentlemen. Sorry?
Having a-
Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody.